It's Thursday. Welcome in. Welcome into the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team. Farm Bureau Insurance, all across the great state of Mississippi. Your hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. It is indeed Thursday. I'm going to repeat that to myself. I'm not repeating it for you. You know it's Thursday. I seem to be the one around here that constantly gets the days mixed up. And so it's Thursday. Right, Matt? Yep, Thursday. Got it. And maybe nobody will have to remind me of that. But Will is helping. He was the first to comment today on the Murray West live thread. He's watching the stream over there on YouTube. There's no video feed, but we are live, audio feed, and you're looking at a picture of all the sponsors and Skinny Matt. Skinny Matt got his picture up there on the live stream right now. And Will said, happy Thursday. Well, right back at you. Okay, and we got lots to get into today here on this Thursday. Headlines coming up in just a bit. We'll see what's happening, see what's popping out there in the sports world. I do have an event that I am fortunate enough to be able to attend this weekend in the Metro, and I'm going to tell you what that is. I hope you'll come by. I would love to meet you, and maybe take a selfie, maybe. But I'm not saying we have to, but maybe take a selfie. I'll tell you about that event coming up. But as we get started, let me remind you: phone lines wide open. You can text the show as well on the Country Pleasing text line. I'm in on, this morning I had jalapeno and pineapple. You ever have one, if you like hot food, spicy food, every now and then I do like it. As I've gotten older, I have much more of a tolerance for it, and it's gone from being, having a tolerance for hot, spicy food to now I crave it a lot. Are you like me? Anybody like me like that? Like you used to not, but now you crave it? And so I have mornings where I wake up and I am just craving something hot. Something that'll make me sweat, make my head sweat when I eat it. And jalapeno and cheddar does it, and that jalapeno and pineapple will really do it. That's what I had this morning from Country Pleasing. All right, so by the way, here you go. The number to text, 885-3776. That is a 601 number, 885-3776. You can also call me on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. The number to call so that I get to talk to you is, get to hear your voice. Love to hear from you. Anything goes. Whatever you want to talk about is fine with me. The number to call, 897-1059. Got it? 897-1059. Will said spicy breakfast sausage is greater than regular breakfast sausage. Hey, but Will, you know what I have in the freezer? I'm about to thaw it out. I may wait a couple of days, but I have the patties, that comes in the big roll, and you slice it up and have fry up the patty sausage. Yep. Do y'all remember how long ago it was when Rooster called this show? Some of you have been listening so long and so well that you probably do remember that when Rooster called the show, and he's like, "Look, man, I like Country Pleasing, but do they have patty sausage?" And I was like, "I don't know. I assume they do." Well, the answer now is yes, and I have some, and I'm about to dive into that here in the next couple of days as well. But I just thought I'd tell you that, just so you know. Just so you would know. Hey, and just so you know, Beaver's here. Hey, B!
Hey, Matt Wyatt.
Live sound effects are always they hit a little different on the radio than the tape ones. You agree?
Yeah, just noticed that. You went double bell.
Yeah, I see. If you flick the handle on this bike bell once, this is what it sounds like. See, it sounds double because it rings it on the way back. You get me? It's like a spring-loaded trigger. So you pull the lever once, it actually rings twice. Like this. Ding, ding. So if you pull the handle twice, you're actually getting 4. It sounds like this. Oh, yeah. Now, far be it from me, Beaver, to insinuate that I can ring a bell and summon you. How you doing?
I am all right.
Okay. You didn't say wonderful.
Wonderful. Wouldn't that go with the words like great and amazing?
Okay. You got me. You got me right there. You are trying to not overstate things. Yeah, you do a pretty good job there. Okay. Beaver's fine, y'all. Beaver's doing just fine. And he's here and ready to take your calls and push all the right buttons. And so get it on in here. I am seeing the messages coming in. I'm seeing the text messages coming in also. We're going to get to those. But first, we will begin today the way we will begin every day on the show, with headlines brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and Wyatt McGee, the mortgage man. Wyatt! Where you at, Wyatt? Wyatt McGee, the mortgage man. Visit him online at mortgagemanms.com. Headline!
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Here's what's making news. Brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and Wyatt McGee, the mortgage man. In locations in Ridgeland, Starkville, Oxford, and Tupelo now. Find them online at mortgagemanms.com. Sadly, one person killed, 21 wounded in a shooting at the Chiefs Super Bowl parade yesterday afternoon. And of course, it made national news. 3 people have been detained. The whole thing is under investigation. Also reports with corroborating video that fans tackled either a shooter or the shooter. But that obviously the biggest headline in sports out there. And that is really sad, troubling news. On the competition front, Auburn absolutely destroyed South Carolina last night. And you know, they popped South Carolina up there, almost made them a top 10 team. Ranked 11th in the country. They're 21-4, or 21-4 now. They were 21-3. Went on the road to Auburn last night and got beat by 40 points. Everybody has talked about how good Auburn can be. They're starting to look like it. They have caught fire. But it's just another illustration that nobody, even the good teams, nobody can play on the road. They cannot do it. I don't know what you chalk it up to. And how about this? This was, I mean, it's understandable. Okay, it's understandable. It's, this headline is not troubling, but because we are a bit nostalgic, it's still just a little bit of a gut punch. I'm just going to be honest with you. Legendary broadcaster Vern Lundquist, Uncle Vern, has announced that this year will be his final year to call the Masters tournament on television. It's his 40th. It will be his 40th Masters. Most of us can't even remember watching a Masters without Vern Lundquist on the call. Like you say, I'd have to go back to the time I was 7 years old, and I don't remember that. This will be his 40th one this year, and he's going to call it quits, calling the Masters after that one. So even though we're going to get to enjoy it and celebrate him this year, but we will not hear his voice after this year on the Masters, and that's just hard to imagine for the sports fan, the golf fan. So there's a few headlines right off the top, brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and Wyatt McGee, the mortgage man. Like I said, location. He's been in Ridgeland for a while and now opening offices in Starkville, Oxford, and in Tupelo. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. And I want to put this in there too, because Will, you are correct. Will mentioned this on the Murray West live thread. He's watching the stream. He's on YouTube. He comments on the live thread. Typed it in, hit comment, pops up right here in the column. Y'all can see it now on the stream. And by the way, Murray West, contract embroidery company right here in Mississippi, homegrown, and they do an excellent job. Anything you need embroidered, that's where you go. Will says the real big college football news is Texas Athletics Director Chris Delconte saying that the SEC is working towards a 9-conference game schedule that could happen as soon as 2026. Now, Will, I saw that too earlier today. We were out doing a video shoot and stuff this morning, but well, actually a photo shoot, but I did see that they're going to go to 9 games, and everybody pretty much expected it. No real confirmation, but when you have an athletics director at one of the schools, and obviously Texas is about to be in the league, saying they're going to go to 9-game schedule, it is big news. Certainly makes potentially the schedule tougher depending on who that 9th conference game is. So in terms of schedule toughness, great, it's tough. It is. Now, it is a little different sort of proposition for schools like Florida and South Carolina, right? Because they have built into their non-conference, whether you're playing 3 or 4, South Carolina's going to play Clemson every year, period. Florida's going to play Florida State every year, period. So, it's like 9 SEC games and then that one. So it's a tough schedule. But we do know this, that as soon as they go to it, the Texas AD is saying it'll be 2026. As soon as they go to that 9-game conference schedule, and you're going to have some permanent opponents built in there, it will be a better draw in terms of selling season tickets. It's going to be a better schedule for fans and fan interest. It will be better for television. We do know that. It will not be better for some schools in terms of the win-loss record. That's a fact also. But in terms of the overall product, it will make it better. And they do need to do that. And I hate to say it this way because I wouldn't prefer that you have a little professional football, but that's basically what you have now in the pay-for-play era, where it's just no holds barred. Anybody can do what they want to do. So you kind of have a pay-for-play era. Well, if we're going to have a pay-for-play era, then, don't give me Alabama versus UT Martin on November the 20th. Don't give me that. Get rid of that. And so it does look like that's the direction that it is going to go. All right, as promised, going to come to your text messages on the Country Pleasing text line. Get them on in here at 885-3776. First, though, over to the phone line, the Divini Equipment phone line. 897-1059. That's the number to call. DJ, hanging on, line 1. What's up, DJ?
Hey, Matt. I've discovered something since yesterday, and I'm not proud of it.
Okay.
I'm not nearly as humble as you because since yesterday, I have told multiple people that I'm an esteemed caller on the esteemed Matt Wyatt show.
Esteemed. We're all esteemed around here. Yeah, I forgot.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you consider, since I've been with you since head to head,
yeah,
I feel like I'm an esteemed caller.
Well,
now,
and you know what I started doing one year, DJ, and this has been a while back, and so it didn't stick. Either it didn't stick or I didn't keep up with it. I started rating the callers. Like in recruiting, we had a 4 stars and 5 stars. And so I started calling people like a 4-star caller or a 5-star caller and rating them. And then it didn't stick, and I forgot about it. But you, whether you're esteemed or not, you would at the very least be a 4-star. You might be a 5-star.
Well, I'm a D1 caller. And you know how those parents are always talking about their kids being D1 and the only D1 in somebody's mommy's mind. That's probably me. But anyway, back to your about the 9-game schedule. You're absolutely right. But, I think this. I think in a 12-team playoff, I think you may have a year where you could have a 4-loss team because, like you said, they played, let's say Florida State wins the ACC and number 2 in the country.
Yeah.
You lose to the number 1 team in the SEC. You lose to the number 2 team in the SEC. Then you lose another, SEC game that's a playoff team. And there's going to be years where you have 4 SEC teams getting the playoff. That's coming, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
On average, and give me honest opinion, I think on average you're probably in the beginning going to see 3 or 4 SECs, 2 or 3 Big Tens, then the others kind of sort it out. Isn't that kind of what you see?
Yeah, I do, in terms of how they're going to load that 12 teams up. You know what? And I'm just got to be honest with you, DJ. We had the headline, and there was a story on ESPN about it yesterday and all this stuff, how the college football playoff board members were going to vote on sort of this updated 5+7 format. And I never did I never did read the details to see exactly how they're going to switch it up now that basically you don't have a Pac-12, and which kind of changed up. Because initially the Pac-12 was a part of the Power 5, and the Power 5 conference champions were going to get a spot. But then, rightfully so, the commissioner of the Big Ten, the commissioner of the SEC were like, wait a minute, you can't give the Pac-12 a playoff spot. They ain't got but 2 teams left. So now we got to redo it. So I need to read the detail. Regardless of all that, however they vote it, you feel certain that that format is going to allow for SEC and Big Ten teams to fill up that 12-team deal.
Right. Well, one thing that Jay brought up yesterday, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
He brought up somebody's mock next year's playoff scenario, and it had Oregon playing Ohio State in the second round. And that could be possibly after the SEC championship with Georgia and Texas, and Oregon and Ohio State. Don't you think it's paramount that the committee tweak the rankings to ensure you don't have a rematch to at least the third round? If possible.
Yeah.
Because all you'd have to do is switch Oregon and Texas. In that scenario, Texas plays Ohio State, and then Oregon will play Georgia. And the thing is, it's not where you're leaving teams out, but certainly, let's say Georgia and Texas are the 2 best teams in the country, and they got to play in the second round of a 4-round playoff. That's a bad system. And you know, when you're on a committee like that, you've got to seed in a way that
that's right.
You don't want somebody playing in the SEC or the Big Ten championship and then playing in the second round, which ultimately the first round for the conference champion. So there's going to be a lot of tweaking they have to do.
I agree.
From the way it is now to the way it used to be. Anyway, thank you, Matt, for letting me be a part of your show. You are esteemed. Like I said, I'm probably not, but like I said, I'm on mine. I am. Thanks, Matt.
Appreciate it. DJ, the D1 caller. So here is what it said yesterday in that deal. They're going to vote on February the 20th. What day is that? So it ain't next Thursday. That'll be next Tuesday. Correct? Let me look. Yep, next Tuesday. They're going to vote next Tuesday, the 20th. This is the College Football Playoff Board of Managers on a new, a 12-team model that would include the 5 highest ranked conference champions. And then after that, the next 7 highest ranked teams in the 12-team playoff this fall. So there you go. And here, look, DJ, there it is. There's the answer to, what you said about seeding and making sure that there's certain things that if you're trying to seed it in such a way so as you don't have these massive, rematches in round 1 or round 2, which you wouldn't have them in round 1, but you might round 2, I guess. But it's a little hard if you're going to seed it like this based on college football playoff rankings. Okay. Then yes, this committee, who is the one deciding what the rankings are, it's not a formula. It's not a computer deal. It's not that. I mean, we got a human element here. If they're deciding what the rankings are, then yeah, there's a way to kind of manipulate what some of that seeding might be early on. But past the first round of a 12-team playoff, you don't have a ton of control over it. I mean, yeah, again, you could make sure you don't, and they will make sure you don't have a 1 versus a 2 in round 2, but I guess maybe you're going to have some buys built into that first round. But after that, anything can happen because upsets could happen. Generally in college football, you get fewer upsets against the top teams than in any other sport out there. Take your top 10 teams, okay, and look at, say, top 10 college basketball, the top 10 in college baseball, the top teams in the NFL, the top team, and there are fewer upsets in college football versus your top teams in any other sport. And that, again, it just speaks to the way that you fill rosters in college football. It's always been recruiting, which always had an element of, the biggest schools with the most power and money could skirt NCAA rules and load their roster. That's always been the case. Well, now it's really even more the case because there are no rules. So the teams with the most money can load the rosters, and the Grand Canyon gap between certain rosters that you've had in college football, unlike any other sport, is still there. Now, the 5 highest ranked conference champs, and then the next 7 highest ranked teams. And if you do it that way, it says if you vote on it that way, then whatever the Pac-12 is, it's like Washington State and Oregon State are the only 2 remaining Pac-12 teams, but whoever they add, they'll agree to it because if their conference champion is ranked highly, they got a chance to get in. Maybe get 2, but still then it comes back to the committee and how they rank them. It's still in the hands of a committee. Therefore, DJ, they can control some of the seeding in the early rounds. They can. All right, just getting started with you. Your texts coming up next in the Bureau. Stay with me.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. It's where it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friends. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi
Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough.
.com.
Back with you here in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studios. Text me, call me, comment. You can text Country Pleasing text line 885-3776. Comment on the live stream if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or X. Just type in a comment, pop it in there, and I see it. We can get it up on the screen. Questions, opinions, otherwise. Coming to those in a minute. You can call me as well. Be like DJ. Everybody get to hear your voice, which is a welcome change. Somebody else's voice other than mine every now and then. Number to call, the Divini Equipment phone line. Almost did it. Old habits die hard. 897-1059. It's a 601 number, 897-1059. First up, PT for MSU. PT, thank you for the grub the other day. That was great. It was good to meet you. PT for MSU said, I had no idea that Country Pleasing was making patty sausage game changer. Yep, they've got it. You know what? Too many people don't realize that yet, PT for MSU. I'm going to take a picture of it later and post it, just so people know. Dog Tired in Florence. He says, is it true that Sean Elliott, the head football coach at Georgia State, resigned during spring practice number 3? So they were on their third spring practice to be the tight ends coach at South Carolina. What a train wreck. Well, gosh, is that true? Let me look at this. Dog Tired, it says here, okay, here's a report. Can confirm, Barrett Salee says, can confirm that Georgia State head coach Sean Elliott is leaving the program to become an assistant coach at South Carolina. He credits Matt Zenitz at 24/7 Sports for having that story first. But as far as leaving during the middle of spring practice there, that is... Okay, well, I'll say this again. It seems early for spring practice for anybody, but if it's true, if they have begun spring practice and he left in the middle of it, that's unprecedented. Okay, Jimmy just confirmed this on YouTube. He's commenting on the Murray West live thread. He says, Georgia State spring game is March the 7th, and the coach is leaving today. And so, I mean, that would make sense, right? That would mean they just got started because you have 15 practices. You cannot practice 2 days in a row, I don't think, in spring. And sometimes they'll have a little gap in there. And see, so March the 7th is exactly 3 weeks from today. 1, 2, 3. Exactly 3 weeks from today. And you would not have time to get 15 full practices in across 3 weeks, not according to NCAA rules. So they have to have already started. So Dog Tired is right. Yeah, it's unprecedented. I've never heard of that before. Never heard of it. A sitting head coach at that. But again, you know, I don't know what the factors are for any coach that moves, you know. They all have different factors, I guess, according to what they're looking at. But I do know that we've seen more odd moves than we ever have in head coaches going to be assistants. Head coaches going to the NFL to be assistants. Head coaches going to lateral move to other colleges to be assistants. And now here's a head coach moving up a division, to be an assistant. Odd, man. Train wreck might be it. Now, this is pretty funny. Okay, Denzel, I did see this yesterday, and as soon as I read it, I was like, wow, it's true. The University of Alabama has hired Nick Sheridan as its offensive coordinator, and they put out a graphic with his picture on it, 2 different pictures, one an action photo of him coaching and another just more or less like a portrait headshot. And he said, Denzel said, I saw this yesterday, but I was at the end of the show. I don't know if you saw it. Why does Alabama's new offensive coordinator look like a mixture of Christian Bale and Mike Leach? And, buddy, from a facial structure standpoint, that man looks like a young Mike Leach. Golly. And Alabama's hoping that he's a genius like Mike Leach was. Maybe he is. We'll see. Hey, now here is a reference for you. All right. And I don't know if this has anything to do with it. Jason in Flagstaff texted the show earlier during headlines when I mentioned that they've got the Mississippi Ag and Outdoor Expo going on this weekend. Oh, actually, I don't think I gave you all the details. I think I just mentioned it at the top of the show. But that starts, that goes on this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, it starts at noon. This is at the Mississippi Trade Mart. Friday, it starts at noon, goes till 7. Saturday, it goes from 10 to 7. And Sunday, it goes from 10 to 5. Mississippi Ag and Outdoor Expo. Largest display of all things outdoors in Mississippi. And so you're having a spring edition of this coming to the Trade Mart this weekend. It'll be the second weekend of the Dixie National Rodeo. Anything you can think of, rods, reels, bows, UTVs, ATVs, tractors, farm equipment, power equipment, all that. With special pricing, and might I add, at this weekend's Ag and Outdoor Expo. And there is an admission fee. Parking is free, by the way, at Trade Mart. $15 for adults to get in. It's $5 for kids 12 and under, and children 5 and under get in free. It's a really cool thing. MDWFP, the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks, is there and set up and have a really nice booth and area to visit. And I get to go and hang out with MDWFP at the expo on Saturday from noon until 4. So if y'all can get by there, come on. I'd love to meet you. And maybe chat it up. Maybe you've got ideas for the new Mississippi Outdoors podcast and all of that. Jason commented. He said he always liked it. And yes, Jason, I'm going to take some behind-the-scenes video and pictures and stuff from it this week, because I know you won't be able to make it. But then he texted back and said, quote, good, great, grand, wonderful, quoting Chris Farley. Did you know that today would have been Chris Farley's birthday? Was it today? Yes, today. I think he would have been 50. I think that's right. I think today would have been Farley's 50th birthday. I think it was 50. Or was it 60? Surely it wouldn't have been 60. Hang on. Shoot, it would have been. Because he was born in 64. So how old would that have made him? Anyway, yeah. Chris Farley, born on this day, February the 15th, 1964. I don't know if you knew that, Jason, when you were quoting him, but true story. Yeah, he's 60. Man, today would have been Chris Farley's 60th birthday. Comedy genius, no question. Louvier, We talked about 5-star callers, D1 callers, esteemed callers with DJ earlier. Louvier says he is the Super Bowl champion caller. Signed, Louvier, hashtag Go Saints. Agree, disagree, open for opinions. You know, I'm a Super Bowl champion caller. I don't know, but I think Louvier is like DJ's at least a 4-star, but maybe a 5-star caller. Bulldog Blitz texts the show, and he says, I guess this is when DJ was on the phone. He said, why is this guy concerned with how the dang playoffs are arranged? He needs another hobby. Well, but look, Blitz, DJ is an Ohio State fan, so it directly affects his team every year, okay, because they're in it every year. Right? So let's be real. Let's step back for just a minute and be real about this. For you and I, is that the right way? For me, for you and me, for me and you, Bulldog Blitz, looking at the playoffs, and even from the 12 team, it opens it up a little bit to our Bulldogs, the fact that it's 12 teams, but we still got a little ways to go. Okay, we're not, you and I sort of resigned to the idea that it doesn't affect us every year. Well, at Ohio State, it affects them every year. So that's why he's concerned about it, in his defense. The real unnamed texter says, what is it? Yeah, now a good point here. He said, watch, and when the committee gets we got a 12-team playoff, the committee starts ranking them according to how they want it seeded. He goes, watch, number 1 Notre Dame will be the 5th seed. Would not be surprised. RT regarding today would have been Chris Farley's 60th birthday, the late, great Chris Farley. RT texted in and said, I'm still mad Patrick Swayze won the Chippendales dance-off. One of the more iconic skits to ever take place on Saturday Night Live, all eras, was Chris Farley versus Patrick Swayze in auditioning to be a Chippendales dancer. Yeah, how could you not laugh at it? Guy didn't take himself seriously, and that's why he was awesome. All right, rolling along with you. Get your texts in, comments, phone calls, elsewhere. We'll roll along after this here in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stay with me.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do?
Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm fink on a friend to get a promotion?
Yeah, yes, Tom, yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court, Thursday.
For over half a century, dairymen have tried to capture in cans the flavor of pure, fresh milk. And now Foremost has discovered the secret with an evaporated milk that's closest by far to fresh milk itself.
Kind of hard to believe, isn't it? An evaporated milk that doesn't have that old-fashioned evaporated milk taste. But it's true, and you can prove it. You know how most evaporated milks taste in coffee. The flavor goes flat. But try Foremost. You'll see it's white, the way milk ought to look, not drab tan like other brands. And when you taste it, well, if you're anything like me, you'll never even know it isn't pure, fresh cream. You try it and see. That's Foremost, the closest thing in cans to pure, fresh milk. Remember, your family gets the most from Foremost.
Coca-Cola, come on, girl, gotta share a Coke with you. Let the feeling show through. You wanna live a little bit more. That's what the taste of Coke is for. Coke is life. Everybody wants a little life. Coca-Cola, Coke is life. Everybody wants.
Come on, Riley, come on. We're getting our picture taken.
Special moments. Times of your life you'll want to remember. In pictures.
Smile, Howard. Smile.
To help make those pictures look as good as they can, make sure Kodak paper is behind them. If you don't see these words, it isn't Kodak paper. Just look for this sign when you get your pictures. Kodak paper, for a good look at the times of your life.
See, what's Isn't that fun?
Come and get it! Come and get it!
Stop the confusion. Stop the confusion. Everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Buster wants the cornflakes, Pop wants a pep. Mama loves the Raisin Bran, Mama is hip. Sister loves Rice Krispies, and there's Uncle Jack. He loves Kellogg's shredded wheat. Kellogg's makes it fun to eat. Breakfast with Variety Pack. Okay, folks, there's your favorite individual box of cereal, fresh from Kellogg's Variety Pack, untouched by human hands, except your own. That don't mean you gotta eat with 'em. Each individual box comes to your FOD, fresh on delivery from Battle Creek, right to your own dish. Yeah, everybody wants to get into the act with Kellogg's Variety Pack. Yes, sir, Kellogg's Variety Pack.
Here comes the one, the delicious one. Heinz is the big rich one. There's only one ketchup with this flavor pouring on. So thick, so rich, so second to none.
Only one ketchup stands for this kind of thickness with this kind of taste. Heinz.
Heinz is the big rich one.
I love the rich, whole wheat goodness of Kellogg's Mini Wheats. But the delicious frosted side makes the rich kid in me open wide.
The nutritious shredded wheat helps keep me on my toes. But the little ballerina in me thinks the taste steals the show.
Kellogg's Mini Wheats, wholesome shredded wheat for the adult in you, great taste for the kid in you. So they're delicious and nutritious.
The whole grain wheat really packs a crunch, but the delicious taste gives it just the right punch.
You know, to the folks watching the live stream on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter, I'm sorry, X. It's not Twitter anymore. It's not its name anymore. And sometimes we run those, vintage commercials during the break on the live stream. And the one that was just on there was Frosted Mini Wheats, of which I'm a big fan. And that commercial was from way back, like in the 80s maybe. But to me, we've had shows before where we got into breakfast cereals and people's opinions on those. But I don't know that we've ever made an underrated list. And I would say, if you're making an underrated breakfast cereal list, Frosted Mini Wheats is at or near the top. Hey, B.
Hey, Matt, Wyatt.
You a fan of Frosted Mini Wheats?
I am.
You know, what do you think about this, Beaver? If you're not careful, if you don't manage the milk to cereal ratio properly, it's a little tougher to eat than other cereals. You get where I'm going with that?
Yeah, it's gonna cut your mouth open.
How do you?
Kind of hard.
You've never thought of this. It's not like you've written down your formula for how to manage the milk to cereal ratio with Frosted Mini Wheats, but how would you describe the right way to do it?
I'm going to pour the milk as high as it can go before it gets to the level where it'll fall out of the bowl if I carry it.
Okay, so
because you've got to be covered. I mean, the Mini Wheats have got to be covered completely.
They do, or else they're just dry as a bone. Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, how about this, Beav? I guess this is a product of me skimping and not wanting to use more milk than I need because it's expensive. Right? So for me, I fill the bowl with Frosted Mini Wheats. And then my deal is I need the bowl then with the Frosted Mini Wheats in there, I need the bowl to at least be halfway filled with milk. Now stay with me. If I go at minimum halfway filled with milk, that does mean the top half of the mound of frosted mini wheats is not under the milk. But as I begin to eat, I eat the ones that are in the milk out of the bottom of the bowl first. And as I consume, new frosted mini wheats are dropping down into the milk.
I don't like it, Matt Wyatt. I don't like your method. For the first time, RT he's got the answer.
Okay.
He's absolutely correct on this. If you see he's got a mini wheat method.
Soaked in the milk. Okay. Better soggy, drenched with milk. Okay. Well, see, but my point is this. You can only eat like one at a time because they're so large. So if you do that and your bowl is full of milk to the brim, then by the time you get to the latter parts of the ones you haven't eaten, you're kind of getting to the last, 8 to 10 frosted mini wheat chunks. They've been down in the milk so long that they're starting to come apart. Do I not have a point?
Yeah, but that's when they're at their best.
So that is the point. I not only have a point, but that is the point.
Yeah, they need to be soggy and, like you say, coming apart. That's when they're
okay.
That's when they're at the peak.
Okay. See, well, I disagree, but to each his own. So I get it, understand it. I want to eat frosted mini wheats when they are, pretty well permeated with milk, but not saturated. That's what I want. So therefore,
we are having a ridiculous discussion here about cereal methods, and Matt Wyatt, he's so esteemed now that he's throwing out these big words. This man just said permeated. It's not even Big Word Wednesday.
I don't even know if that is a word, to be honest with you. I might have to look that one up. Hey, Annie, she walked by. Is permeated a word? See, if she's not sure, then there's a chance it might not be. I know permeate is. Okay, she's got to think on it. So right now, in other words, we got way too many people occupied with Googling permeated.
To spread throughout.
Woo! It's a word, and I used it correctly. Thank you very much. Thank you. Don't mention it. Thank you. I am merely your friend and esteemed host. I totally didn't mean to get in on that. I just couldn't help it. I saw the commercial that was showing during the live stream on like Facebook and YouTube right now. And it's one of those classic 80s commercials about frosted mini wheats. And I actually had a split thought here. Ooh, I could go for some of that. But see, I would never do this. Here's something I would never do, Beaver, and I need an honest answer from you if you would do this. Something I would never do is begin a 10-minute radio segment, knowing we're going to start and 10 minutes later we don't get a break till 10 minutes later. I would never start and at the beginning of it, fill a bowl of milk and frosted mini wheats and then want to come back and eat it 10 minutes later. It'd be too soggy for me. What about you?
Yeah, 10 minutes is a little much because it's
okay.
You want it soggy. You want them soggy, yes, but I guess it's but I guess might get too permeated.
So
yeah, because if it reaches a
minutes.
certain level of saturation, let's get scientific as crap now. Then it's no good. Then you just got a bowl of mush.
Then it begins to break down at a molecular level. RT followed up on the Country Pleasing text line and says, when that happens, in his words, not mine, twigs fall off and you drink it. We've all been there. Whatever reason, you just turn the bowl up. Just drink what's left in that cereal bowl. Don't be eating it no more. That's kind of like life. You know, there is a Beaver, to take this one step further, whether we should or not, who cares? There is some sort of symbiotic relationship between Frosted Mini Wheats and Life cereal. You see what I'm seeing?
You know, I don't know if I ever ate Life cereal.
Ooh,
So,
Beav, you would love it if you like Frosted Mini Wheats. Life is like they don't need to be frosted. And if you like soggy Frosted Mini Wheats, Beaver, you need to get you some Life cereal. You know what you need to do, Beaver? You need to go to the store today after the show, buy you a box of Life cereal, and either some whole milk or 2%. And don't get the skim, 2% is fine. Okay, and sit down and eat that while you watch all of Nacho Libre. The whole movie. I can't imagine not having a good time. Joseph commented on Facebook and he said, he gave me 3 laughing emojis and says, we could talk about this for an hour. He says the milk has to be covering it, no doubt. He followed up, you can tell that Joseph is passionate about Frosted Mini Wheats. He says, but the frosted wet side has to be held on your tongue before you chew it. Now, you talk about like technique. Jimmy comments on YouTube, says, I remember when shredded wheat was a large biscuit that filled the whole bowl. Mini shredded wheat was some serious cereal innovation. You're right. Like, Jimmy, okay, you got to go way back, though. You got to go way back. But you're right. It was one big, massive shredded wheat. And put the whole thing in the bowl and start tearing it apart in there. Now, that's it. And then when they came out with the minis, you were like, what? Jake from Yazoo. Jake from Yazoo says, I'm not hearing the H in wheats enough, Matt. Whip and wheat. Mini wheats or mini wheats. Which is it? Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona. Here's how you waste 10 minutes on the radio unintentionally. Jason says, my mini wheat method is not buying that crap to begin with. Just avoid it altogether, huh? Bodine Dog texts the show, and he's feeding the brim in his pond. He said he went down there. He figures it's the warm weather, but they were very aggressive. Y'all, get some crickets. It's almost time. Hour 2 coming up after this. Stick around.
Have you ever wished for one product that would clean and shine almost everything in your house? Here it is, Clean and Shine. Like magic, Clean and Shine leaves a nice shine on fine wood furniture, so you don't need furniture polish. It cleans and shines mirrors, so you don't need glass cleaner for mirrors. It cleans and shines refrigerators, like this kitchen product, even countertops, tile, and vinyl. Try new Clean and Shine, the foam that cleans and shines almost everything in your house.
Someday when people look at me, they'll say, there goes Roy Hobbs, the best there ever was.
TriStar Pictures presents Robert Redford in The Natural, the story of a father and a son.
You got a gift, Roy, but it's not enough.
Of love.
He means the world to me.
And desire.
I'm not waiting for true love to come along, Roy.
A champion.
A Roy Hobbs comes along once, maybe twice in everybody's lifetime.
And his destiny.
With or without the records, they'll remember you.
Best there is now, and best there ever will be.
I wouldn't bet against me.
I already have.
Robert Redford, Robert Duvall, Glenn Close, Kim Basinger, Wilford Brimley, Barbara Hershey, Robert Prosky, and Richard Farnsworth as Red. The Natural.
Do you know me? Would you believe I'm Bugs Bunny? I'm also the voice of many other cartoon characters. But in here, they don't care if I'm Elmer Fudd. So I carry an American Express card, the one card I need for travel and entertaining, for business and pleasure. Why, without this, the only way I'd get any attention is by saying, that's all, folks.
To apply for a card, call 800-528-8000.
The American Express card. Don't leave home without it.
The following is a presentation of TBS Sports. Exclusively on Superstation TBS. Superstation TBS presents the Atlanta Braves, America's team. Atlanta Braves baseball is brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood aged for that distinctively clean, crisp taste that makes Budweiser the king of beers. This Bud's for you. By the official airline of the Atlanta Braves, Delta. We love to fly, and it shows. And by Eckerd Drugs, America's family drugstore.
If a man you've never met before suddenly gives you flowers, that's elation. The exciting new fragrance from Impulse.
Thursday, it's Cosby starting off a night of family fun. And leave it to Family Ties to keep the laughs coming.
Oh, no. What are we going to do?
Everything's under control.
Then on Cheers, will Norm think on a friend to get a promotion?
Yes, Stone. Yes.
And the fun continues with Night Court.
I'm here to strip for Dan Fielding.
Thursday.
Oh, what a meal, oh,
Hamburger Helper Lasagna.
for your family.
Authentic Italian taste.
Hearty robusto, but not too spicy, eh?
Hamburger Helper Lasagna turns your plain hamburger into a delicious Italian meal with authentic Italian taste. Curly Italian noodles, rich tomato sauce, and a better blend of spices.
Hamburger helper. Lasagna.
Helper, hamburger helper.
Make a great meal, oh.
I made her second income count by guaranteeing 100% accurate filing and her maximum refund.
What did she do with that refund? Find out next week.
Switch to Intuit TurboTax and make your moves count. See guarantee details at turbotax.com/guarantees. Experts only available with TurboTax Live.
Psst. Hey, I have a secret. I use Secret Whole Body Deodorant because more than just my armpits stink.
Oh, can I use it where my bra rubs under my...
Oh, yeah.
And what about...
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. All right, let's see what we can get into. Hour number 2 of the show in the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Everything's wide open on the table on this Thursday, so get on in here. You can text or call or comment on the live thread. However, you can be a part of the show. I hope you will be. You're invited. Open invitation. I'll give you those numbers to text and call coming up. Headlines coming up in just a minute via the Bank of England Mortgage Company and Wyatt McGee. That's all coming your way here in hour 2. In hour 1, a little bit of everything. There was some news on the new playoff structure. SEC going to go to 9 games, according to the Texas athletics director. He slipped that one out there in an interview somewhere. But it's not really a huge surprise. It's just when you hear it from a sitting AD who's going to be in the SEC next year, carries a little more weight. Yeah. So all of that and more on the table. You were kind of in between big basketball games. You had games last night. One, for me anyway, really surprising result. And then, of course, we're inching closer to the weekend. And we are just a hair over 24 hours away from the start of the college baseball season for Mississippi State. And we are a hair less than 24 hours away from the start of the college baseball season for Ole Miss. Ole Miss is at Hawaii, and they play, Central Time. It's going to be like in the morning around here, around 10:30 here. I guess that would be Pacific Time. That'd be what, 12 o'clock, noonish out there in Hawaii tomorrow. And then tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock Central Time is when you have first pitch scheduled for State versus Air Force. And then it's like, here we go. So baseball is here. Now, if you texted me towards the end of the first hour, RT and Denzel and Jason and Jake and Teddy and everybody, I'm getting to them. I'll come to them in just a bit. I got a little bit behind, but I'll try to play catch up here in just a minute with you. But first, headlines brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and Wyatt McGee, the mortgage man. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. Wyatt! Where you at, Wyatt? Headline.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
So as we mentioned, really since yesterday, the big news around the country is that one person is dead, 21 are wounded due to a shooting that occurred at the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade in Kansas City. They've got 3 people in custody under investigation. Details are starting to leak out that they are saying that it is actually due to some previous dispute that this all goes back to with these people. But more on that as it comes out, and certainly a really sad story ever since yesterday afternoon. Back to actual competition. Last night in SEC basketball, Auburn absolutely destroyed South Carolina. South Carolina was 21-3. They were ranked 11th in the country. They were 9-2 in the SEC, and they went to Auburn last night and got beat by 40 points, 101-61. Nobody saw that coming. Neither did I. And news that I can't believe this will be the last one. Legendary broadcaster Vern Lundquist has announced that he's going to retire after calling his 40th Masters tournament this April. This will be the last one. So many legendary calls. The Jack Nicklaus call at 16. Yes, sir. Right? Yes, sir. And then, of course, wasn't he the Tiger back in, what was it, 2000 and whatever it was, where the ball rested on the edge of the cup at 16 and stopped, paused, where the entire world could see the Nike logo as the camera zoomed in and waited and waited and waited, and then it fell. As Tiger's running to the hole pointing at it, it fell. And wasn't it Vern Lundquist who, in your life, have you ever seen anything like that? Well, that's Vern Lundquist. And now, obviously, we know him, too, from all those years of, he was Uncle Vern on the call of SEC football on CBS all that time. So he's going to retire. After he calls the Masters this year, coming up in a couple of months, that'll be his 40th, he's retiring. He is 83 years old. So it's one of those where it's not surprising, okay, and what an unbelievable career. After, that much work and that kind of career, all those years, all the 40 Masters tournaments, all those SEC football games and everything else, man can decide when he wants to call it quits and ride off into the sunset and enjoy retirement. It's up to him. But still, it's a bit of a shock to think, okay, we're going to watch the Masters next year, next April 25, and he won't be on it. You will not hear Vern Lundquist's voice, according to this. And it's hard to imagine, honestly. It really is. And then also, one extra headline here, brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and Wyatt McGee, the Mortgage Man. Find him online at mortgagemanms.com. Put this on your calendar. I would love to see you there if you can make it. This weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, at the Trade Mart is the Mississippi Ag and Outdoor Expo. It's the largest display of really everything outdoors in Mississippi. We're having a spring edition here at the Trade Mart. So this will be the second weekend of the Dixie National Rodeo. So like you name it. Fishing, boats, rod reels, bows, UTVs, ATVs, tractors. Yep. My man, Jonathan, folks from Davini will be there. Orange everywhere. Farm equipment, power equipment, all of that. You can find it there with special pricing, by the way, at the Ag and Outdoor Expo this weekend. Okay, so it starts on Friday, goes from noon to 7. This is at the Trade Mart. Saturday, it begins at 10 a.m. and goes to 7. And then Sunday, it's 10 to 5. Saturday, I'm going to be there from noon till 4 at the Mississippi Department of Wildlife, Fisheries, and Parks booth, as we just yesterday announced the all brand new Mississippi Outdoors podcast, which will be available coming up in March. And so I'll be there representing that and joining in with MDWFP at their place in the Trade Mart at the Ag and Outdoor Expo on Saturday from noon until 4. So if you can come by, I hope you will. I'd love to meet you and see you. And if you've got any ideas for the podcast or questions, opinions, otherwise, or just come by and take a picture or bring me something to eat, yeah, any of that's fine with me. I'd love to see you out there. And that's going on this weekend at the Trade Mart, starting Friday, then Saturday. It starts at 10. I'll be there at noon. And then Sunday, 10 to 5. Those are your headlines brought to you by Bank of England Mortgage and Wyatt McGee, the Mortgage Man. Wyatt! Where you at? mortgagemanms.com. They've been in Ridgeland for a while with their location there. They're now in Starkville, Oxford, and Tupelo. And I mentioned this to you. They've got a program where they have up to $1.55 million, a special grant for first-time home buyers. Okay, you can get up to $20,000 towards the purchase of your first home, and that's money that you don't have to pay back if you stay in the home for up to 5 years. Stuff like that. And Wyatt will help you out. Check him out, mortgagemanms.com. Right now, flipping it. I need the sound of like turning the page. Flipping it. Over to the phone line, the Davini Equipment phone line. On line 1, the man, the myth, the legend, Louvier. Louvier! Welcome to the show. What's up?
Well, thank you for welcoming me to the show. Good afternoon. I don't know that I'm a myth. Here I am in the flesh.
He's live in person.
I like that Wyatt McGee spot. I had a young client, and they're going through the process, and I think they're going to get some of that free money.
There you go.
Anyway, So, and I would have never said, hey, why don't you contact this fella if I didn't listen to this show. So there it is, full circle, a God wink, and that's how it works. So keep doing the public services. I know he pays you for it, but it's a good thing. It really is.
Thank you.
In regard to Wyatt McGee keeping us abreast of these headlines, this shooting at the Kansas City Celebration Parade had little, if anything, to do with the Kansas City Chiefs, but it's a black eye on the Kansas City Chiefs for their parade because it happened there.
Yeah.
2 people were shot somewhere near a Mardi Gras parade as the parade was ending up And it had nothing to do at all with Mardi Gras, the parade, or any. Somebody had some beef against somebody else and knew they were going to be at the parade and went there looking for them and found them and fired shots. And so Kansas City Chiefs are going to bear the brunt of it and have to explain how this kind of thing happened. It's like blaming the principal of a school if somebody comes to the school and starts shooting. Well, humanity. Beaver said it best. Elaine walks in the door in Jerry's apartment and says, "I'll never understand people." And Jerry says, "They're the worst."
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that. I was trying to remember what it was, Louvier, and I'm drawing a complete blank. But my dad was telling me this morning a saying that my grandfather used to use that insinuated the same thing, and now I can't remember what it was. But it was the same kind of deal, making a joke out of the idea that, saying people are the worst. But, you're right. It's just, when those things happen, Louvier, you see that at a large event, and there's always people around that are, inevitably it's going to affect innocent people. I just can't fathom it. Violence, you wish it would all go away, but it's always been present.
Yeah.
But,
I think it was Plato. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry to stand on you. Yeah, Plato said something like, laws have to be written for the people that aren't going to obey them anyway, or something to that effect.
Right.
Those of us that will be obedient and civil, we don't need the law to be written down. It's kind of common sense.
Right.
Anyway, I'm sure Plato said it a lot more eloquent than me, but I'm going to win the Super Bowl of callers anyway.
Okay.
So there.
Okay. All right.
Love your show. Go Saints.
Appreciate the call, Louvier. He said he was the Super Bowl champion of callers earlier today. And that's another good thing about this show is you can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. And we'll just roll with it. No, I appreciate the phone call. It's good to hear from you, Louvier, as always. And thanks for sending folks to Went. Ready Teddy texted the show earlier, and he said he goes, "I am the got cut as the water boy caller." Well, see, I disagree, Teddy. I disagree. I mean, even if you were our equivalent of the water boy, we wouldn't cut you. You're not cut. Now, White Denzel texts the show, says, "Matt, let me preface this by saying I know you think it's dumb and you don't care. However," well, no, you might be surprised. He says, "However, EA Sports released a teaser trailer for NCAA Football 24. They also tweeted that the full reveal comes out in May." And then he says the teaser trailer looked amazing. So, Denzel, you're talking about video games, right? Right. See, here's the only thing about that. Let's see. Here's advice. Okay, I'm going to give you advice. From Denzel, from someone who doesn't and really never has gotten into video games. I don't have a problem with them whatsoever. People do what they want. I just never have gotten into them myself. This would be, though, my advice for someone who's trying to live a very healthy lifestyle. I don't mean like health nut, like you won't eat 1,000 calories a day and you lift all. I mean, like, just a well-rounded, healthy lifestyle. You ready? When the sun is out, or no, not even say that. When it's not pouring down rain and or severe weather, don't play video games. Go outside and go fishing. In the month of May. You said this new video game, this college football video game, comes out in May. Problem with that is you need to be throwing a topwater somewhere in May. And, buddy, if it's not like a big, thunderstorm or a big, worse, severe weather, monsoon rain, you need to be outside somewhere throwing a topwater. Trust me. So that would be my advice to the video game folks, Denzel. Whether it's this game, everyone's like, this game's coming out. Yeah, okay. If there's tornadoes coming, hunker down, go down into the storm shelter and play video games. Like, what else are you going to do? If it's flooding outside, you're going to get 5 inches of rain over the next 2 hours. Okay, stay inside, play video games. If it's 2 a.m. and you can't sleep, play video games. Otherwise, in May, even though the game's coming out in May, who cares about that? Man, it's May. You need to be fishing somewhere. Go throw a top water. You don't know what you're doing? Just throw it. Just throw it and watch it. Let it sit there and watch it. Watch what happens. Or get some crickets. Okay? And get your cork. Get your little small brim hook, split shot weight. Okay? And put that cork, put the split shot up above the hook, put the cork up there. I don't know. A foot and a half, something like that. Thread that cricket onto that hook and throw it out there and just watch. Wait. Do that in May when the sun's out. Don't play video games. Any of them. That's my advice. See, RT knows. RT knows exactly what I'm talking about. And he even knew it preemptively before we got to it. RT sent us pictures of what looks like some youngins, whether they're his youngins or somebody else's, and they're catching these fish. It looks like a big old, what is that? That's not a bluegill. Big brim and one big copper nose. And there it is. There's a cork. And that one's about 1.5 feet to 2 feet above the cricket. But somebody caught them. And my hat's off to you, sir. That's what you need to be doing. Like those kids in those pictures. Don't introduce them to a college football video game unless they can't go outside. That's just my advice. Whether anybody wants my advice or not. Jake from Yazoo says, what does it say here? What do you say? Unfortunate for us all when a 40-point win is actually more predictable than a mass shooting. He said, please, please, please find Jesus, everyone. Jake, I get the point. I didn't understand the wording, but I certainly get the point. So Auburn beat South Carolina by 40 last night. That's what we're talking about. Jason in Flagstaff said that he said, I am the average Joe's Gym of callers. I'll never make the big leagues, but I make up for it by not trying that hard. Well, okay. Well, Jason, but you're definitely a 4 or 5 star texter. Okay, you're definitely that. Did he really say that? Now, I don't know if this is an actual quote or not, but Jason he texted me a quote, an Uncle Vern Lundquist quote. So we'll have to decide if this is real or not, if he's just making it up. Quote, quite a large and economically diverse crowd here today at the Waste Management Tournament. Did he call the Waste Management? That thing was an embarrassment, man. What they have allowed that to turn into is just an embarrassment. And it'd be an embarrassment for anything. That's what it turns into. It's like you have a PGA golf tournament and a Buffalo Bills tailgate breaks out on every hole, I mean, it's just an embarrassment. It's like a giant frat party and they're having a golf tournament in the middle of it. It's an embarrassment. Anybody thinks it's cute and giggles at it, and it's not. MSU 1980 texts the show. He says, Matt, all your talk about getting outdoors is driving me crazy because it's perfect today. And unfortunately, I have to work indoors. I'd almost always prefer to be outdoors than inside. Yeah, and that's part of it, isn't it? Really, for all of us at different times. Sometimes it's just gorgeous outside and you got stuff to do. Like, I don't know, make a living. That's just the way it goes. So hang in there. Hang in there. Pretty soon, MSU 1980 will be at a time of year where you'll have more days like that more often, and you won't have to miss them. But, look at it this way. You have a day where it's beautiful outside and you can't go out there. It makes you appreciate it that much more when you can. Or it does me anyway. Bulldog West texts the show. He's talking about Vern Lundquist retiring. He said Vern was the only good thing about Gary Danielson. LOL. Yeah, everybody had opinions. And does. I'll admit that in the early years of Vern Lundquist and Gary Danielson calling SEC games on CBS at 2 o'clock or 2:30 on Saturdays, I always enjoyed it. I thought they did a good job. And it was always obvious that Danielson knew his stuff. And I think in the early days, and a lot of it's just age, but when he was younger, he was really good at the X's and O's and the timing of it. And the CBS broadcast just as a whole, the whole package, from the way they presented it, the music, the broadcasters, the way they handled sideline reports, the way they handled everything and graphics, it was just always so much better that it really helped everybody to see that it was better, And then after a period of time, we get used to it, and guys get older, and we got fed up with Gary Danielson. And I will admit that after a period of time, too, Danielson just became sort of the Alabama guy. Sort of rubbed everybody the wrong way. All right. Hour 2 rolls along. In the Bureau, stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity come up through a friend of mine that was an agent here at Farm Bureau that, he said this may be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community. And what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade. And what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company. That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now.
He's got a menu full on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Oh, I know that's right. This man is telling the truth. I'm about to come to the phone line, but Will commented on the Murray West live thread on YouTube, and he said, Matt, if you see smoke in the sky this weekend, don't call the fire department. Instead, drive to Duty Noble and find the rig with the country-pleasing dogs in the outfield. Baseball! Mississippi State style. That's it. It starts tomorrow, man. Look. Some of y'all are going to be grilling out. Now, I don't know if it's going to be cloudy. I think the rain is supposed to come in overnight. And then Saturday and Sunday, sun's going to be out, but it's going to be a little bit chilly. You better take long sleeves to the ballpark on Saturday and Sunday. But tomorrow's going to be nice. Nice. You're exactly right, Will. Make me think of baseball. I was up in New Albany earlier today at High Point Roasters. They got a new location. They moved 1.5 miles up the road. They did. To a bigger building right up a little bit closer to New Albany High School. And it's a really nice place. And I was standing out in the parking lot and smoke just billowing out of there as they were running those big roasters. And you talk about smelling good. Smelled almost as good as it's going to smell at that ballpark tomorrow. All right, over to the phone line, the Davini Equipment phone line. On line 1, Jason in Flagstaff, Arizona. What's up, Jason?
Nothing much. First, tell us again how it's going to be chilly in Starkville, and I'll see if I can get a violin quartet here.
Yeah, I think the high is going to be in the 40s.
Oh.
And the low in the 20s, but it'll be all right. We'll live.
Once again, bless y'all's heart. But yeah, I called because the Uncle Vern quote I sent was half made up, but it came from Happy Gilmore, the chorus where everybody was falling over drunk and
oh yes,
as Shooter McGavin said, having in the woods all 17.
Right.
So
okay, so I get it.
So
now.
I just inserted waste management in there.
No, it's about like it was. It's about like it was. In Phoenix. That was good.
All right, then I'll hang up and listen.
All right, appreciate it. Thanks, Jason. Well, look, we got to credit Jason. So in one string of texts today, Jason has referenced Happy Gilmore and Chris Farley on what would have been Chris Farley's 60th birthday today, and I don't even know that he knew that. So Jason gets a lot of credit for those references. You know what I don't get credit for? I messed up on yesterday's show. I had some stuff I wanted to share with you yesterday on the show. I don't know what happened to me yesterday. Now, it was Valentine's Day, And Annabeth came, was on the show, and I always get a little giddy when she gets on the show. And she and Beaver got to teaming up against me because I didn't give the right candy out. And, so maybe it's their fault. But I had some some content I wanted to deliver to you yesterday that I was happy about. And I just completely and utterly forgot. And I realize when we go back in time on this show, it's usually pertinent to this day. It's supposed to be. It shouldn't be a day late. I get all that. But I want to share it with you. Okay, one of the things was yesterday was the day, like back in the 90s or something, when the movie Wayne's World came out.
Wayne's World, party time, excellent.
That whole thing.
Excellent.
Was it Mike Myers and Dana Carvey, Wayne's World? Okay, that was one thing we were going to share yesterday. Didn't get into it. But the other thing I was going to share with you, that, as sports fans, there's certain things we need to remember. We just need to remember them. When we have an opportunity to talk about these either events or people, we need to do our part as sports fans and kind of bring it up and discuss it for historical purposes and to pass it on to future generations so that it's not forgotten and so that some of these people aren't forgotten. There is a generation of younger people out here, sports fans, who, they're probably going to play EA Sports college football video games like Denzel was telling me about, that may not know who Mel Allen is and may not remember his voice. Well, we got to pass it on to him, okay, and mention it so that when we're long gone, people will still at least remember who Mel Allen was and what he did and what he contributed. Mel Allen was and is one of the iconic voices in broadcasting, sports broadcasting, that this country has ever seen. And yesterday would have been his birthday. Now, he was born on February 14th, Valentine's Day, 1913, okay? So that was 110 years ago yesterday. He actually passed away. Mel Allen passed away at the age of 83 in 1996. But he was, Mel Allen, one of the iconic voices in sports broadcasting ever, was born on yesterday, 1913, in Birmingham, Alabama. Mel Allen, he was actually, his proper name was Melvin Allen Israel. So his real last name was Israel, but he went with Mel Allen. Born in Birmingham. He went to the University of Alabama, and he got his start kind of, sort of, in broadcasting as the PA announcer for Alabama football games. And in 1933, the station manager at Birmingham radio station over there at WBRC asked the football coach at Alabama, who was Frank Thomas at the time, this is in the 30s, to recommend to him a new play-by-play announcer for the radio broadcast. And the football coach, suggested young Mel Allen. The first game he ever broadcast was Alabama's home football game that year in 1933 against Tulane. Next thing you know, like, he graduates from law school, broadcasting career takes off. He gets hired by CBS and became a huge broadcaster in New York for the Yankees and other sporting events. Mel Allen was on the call when Roger Maris hit his 60th home run that year when he was breaking those records.
There it is. If it stays fair, there it is, number 60. How about that? There's standing ovation.
How about that became sort of a catchphrase for Mel Allen. He'd say, how about that? Years later, So that was, way, way back. Years later, though, when I was a kid, Mel Allen was the voice of a show that came on television that you looked forward to called This Week in Baseball. Here's an example of how he would open that show, This Week in Baseball. It always would have a theme, and it was kind of written to that theme as you watch sports highlights.
Baseball is casting its spell with frightening effectiveness. 100 years of bats in the ball field haunt the hallowed grounds of all big league houses. An old wizard with a fresh potion means curses and voodoo from a renewed brew. Seems like witchcraft, this craft which comes with a wave of a magic wand. Special powers so potent that spooky conjure up scary images of the past. Some eerie hitting, pitching, hocus pocus hypnotizes with uncanny sleight of hand. But the hand is quicker than the eye, and we've got sights that mystify. So you just sit back and watch it all on This Week in Baseball.
And that's what it would sound like. They'd always have an intro that was sort of written and themed. And the closing of This Week in Baseball was always iconic with the voice of Mel Allen.
See you next week on This Week in Baseball.
And they'd always play the theme song. See you next week on. And he had a certain cadence. And as you were a kid, you'd watch it and say it with him. You go, on This Week in Baseball. And that was Mel Allen. Now, you can read up on him, but a really interesting career. He was, Yankees announcer. He was actually doing Yankees and Mets games for a station in New York. It was all interrupted, though, by the war. And in 1941, calling the games actually got interrupted for his radio station because of the war. They could not find a sponsor. Things were really tight and just different. Of course, came back. At one time, the Yankees fired him, eventually hired him back. He did this syndicated show, This Week in Baseball. It was a highlight show. And it started in 1977. And he did that show until he passed away in 1996. Anyway, I wanted to talk a little bit yesterday about Mel Allen, and we got to talking about Valentine's Day and other stuff. I didn't get it in, but let's don't forget the iconic voice from just over the state line over there, Mel Allen. He's one of those that you can look at it and listen to it and say, they just don't make them like that anymore. A little bit of time left. Stick around.
Today's game from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Time was, their breakfasts were gloomy. They just didn't feel right, and they didn't know a delicious cereal could help their sad plight. So they tried this and tried that, but irregularity kept coming back all the same. For as often the case, lack of bulk in their diet was actually to blame. Once at the grocer's, the wife was so drooping and sagging that a neighbor said, "Get on Kellogg's All-Bran wagon. Why, All-Bran has a flavor that's scrumptious to eat. So rich and nut-like, makes breakfast a treat. And of course, Kellogg's All-Bran can help you each day to youthful regularity, the dietary way." "Well, it might do some good," said the wife with a sigh. "Guess I'll get some All-Bran and give it a try." Soon, breakfasts at her house were happy and bright, for delicious Kellogg's All-Bran set their day off right. Yes, All-Bran supplies all the bulk in your diet, you see, that you may need for youthful regularity. And no half-brand cereal possibly can provide this help as surely as Kellogg's All-Bran, a delicious non-habit-forming aid to your diet, You're sure to like All Brand. Just buy it and try it.
Get on the Kellogg's All Brand wagon with the best bran in the land. The cereal that tastes grand, the cereal that's all brand, a breakfast treat that can't be beat. Be a regular guy and climb aboard the All Brand wagon. Eat Kellogg's All Brand.
What is the secret of this enchanted book? What wonders are hidden within its pages? What magical spell does it cast on all who read it? What is the secret of the never-ending story?
But that's impossible!
You will enter a world where a young boy's imagination becomes a vivid reality. The world of Atreyu and Artax, the Rockbiter, and a good and kind gnome. A world that is vast and eternal, treacherous and dazzling, unforgettable and free. For anyone who's ever made a wish, believed in a fantasy, or had a dream, this is the never-ending story.
It's a new thing, it's a fun thing, it's a swing wing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing, it's a wing wing, a brand new transit grand fun thing.
It's a what?
It's a swing wing, a fun thing. And now it's your favorite store thing.
It's a what?
Mazda announces some great news for truck buyers. Right now, you can beat the already outstanding value of the $67.95 Mazda SE5. Introducing Mazda SE5 Plus 5. $625 worth of extra features at no extra charge from Mazda. You get a bed liner, mudguard.
All right, back with you. A chance to spend a little more time together. See what we can get into. When Will listened to that clip I played of the old intro to one of the This Week in Baseball episodes, he said, that's some excellent writing. He says, you never hear anything like that on TV or the internet anymore. And, you know, it really is true, Will. There's a certain flair and a creativity and a storytelling that would kind of stoke the imagination that, you know, I just think maybe past eras were better at that because they maybe had to be, right? And now it would just be more for artistic purposes than anything else because we can get somebody's attention now in 5 seconds with the right video clip or the right, you know, thumbnail. You know, which you didn't have that back then. You got to hold their attention another way, and it's either got to be beautiful or thought-provoking or just something. And so the writing was so much different. And you think about it, Will, they would do an intro to This Week in Baseball like that every week during the baseball season for, let me add it up here, 20 years. Every week of baseball season for 20 years, they did another episode of This Week in Baseball, mail out, and somebody wrote that. Here's another example, one that I found, Will, where it was an intro to This Week in Baseball, voiced by Mel Allen, and they had always had a theme that it was written to while you watch these highlights in the intro. This one was an animal theme because the first highlight showed a cow running out onto a field for a promotion.
Check out the animals at the cow pasture. A Milwaukee moose eggs on the goose and seals off 8 straight. A St. Louis white rat and his running rabbits race for home. An LA skunk against the Phillies 9 times in 9 games. A New York workhorse monkeys around and turns goat sheepishly. a Houston Gopher ball. And the Cardinals go ape. And holy cow, folks, a fox takes over the Cubs. So bear with us all, y'all.
I mean, it was, it was just better. It was great writing. Look some of those up, Will. If you never did get to see them, look them up. It was a neat thing because you remember, like, back during that era, Sports Center did come along and probably did put a little bit of a dent into shows like This Week in Baseball, because you could watch Sports Center and see baseball highlights. But that was it. I mean, you had to turn on Sports Center or catch This Week in Baseball, like they'd show it on Sunday afternoons, and then you'd see a week's worth of highlights and games that you didn't watch. Because, again, you're like me, you growing up in the 80s in Alabama, you got to see one game. You could see them all, but it was the Braves. That's it. It was the Braves and whoever the Braves were playing. So it was a different era for sure. Hey, check this out. The Mississippi State baseball team, I guess their, media relations staff and PR team have put up on the website. Actually, Joel Coleman wrote this for hailstate.com. A list of the walkout songs for all the players. See, that's a thing. It has been for a while. But we got a whole list. Every single player. Position player who might go to bat, what the walkout song is. Pitchers, when they go to the mound, they got a walkout, run out song. They're all right here. Here they are, the whole list. Now, the first one I saw that I recognize, 𝐁𝐮 is Lowrider. Okay. So I got that one. Let me see here. Is there anything else I know? Here are the artists. Okay, here are songs, the artists of songs that are walkout songs and run-out songs for state players. Saint Motel, Lil Baby and Young Thug, Hardy, Jay-Z, Kanye West, Fly, Motley Crue. Pico Cone is back, and his run-out is Kickstart My Heart, Motley Crue. Dylan Cupp is Ladies Love Country Boys by Trace Atkins. You got a Chris Stapleton, a Jason Aldean, Pitbull, Dimitri Vegas, White Stripes, AC/DC. Cole Cheatham is Are You Ready by AC/DC. Kaleo, Black Eyed Peas, Green Day, Rihanna, Lil Wayne, Luke Combs, Jason Aldean, Eminem, Hardy, Biggie, Guns N' Roses. Bradley Lofton is Sweet Child of Mine, Guns N' Roses. See, there's a few people on here who like the old stuff. Bunch of Jason Aldean, 50 Cent, Mark Morrison, Taylor Swift. Bryce Chance's walk-up song is Don't Blame Me by Taylor Swift. Shaggy, Ice Cube, Lil Wayne, Luke Combs, Nickelback. Hunter Hines is Rockstar by Nickelback. Blackberry Smoke, AC/DC, that's Brooks Auger. Michael Jackson. Hey, Judd Files has Beat It by Michael Jackson. Anyway, I'm about to ask you, and I want to know, Beaver, think about it, Beaver. What would be your walk-up song if you were a college baseball player and you could choose any walk-up song? Mine, it is a no doubt. I don't even have to think about it. I've thought about it before, so I've already done my thinking on it. Without question, if I could choose a walk-up or run-out song, it, without question, would be this from the movie Sandlot. Man, how can you not have a Sandlot song in the ballpark? Come on. That'd be mine. Make everybody think about Sandlot. And oh, by the way, during the changeover in innings, the DJ needs to play baseball music. Yeah, like, put me in, coach, and some of that stuff. Let's check in with Beeve. Hey, Beeve.
Hey, Matt Wyatt.
Hold on. I just want to ring the bell, Beaver. It's not ringing. It just. What would be your walk-up song if you were a baseball player in college?
Chelsea Dagger by the Fratellis.
All right.
Hold on. Let me. Chelsea Dagger by the who? Fratellis?
The Fratellis.
Isn't that the family on the Goonies, the bad guys, the Fratellis?
Sure is. Proud of you for knowing that.
Is that where they got the name?
Yep.
That's awesome. The Fratellis. Hey, Beef, how can you? I can't even say or hear the name Fratellis without thinking about Chunk. And he was lying to him, and then they got him to tell the whole truth. Okay, so yours would be Chelsea Dagger by the Fratellis. Mine would be some Sandlot stuff. Have a little fun with it.
Well, now I don't want to. I want you to look it up. You looking it up?
Yeah, I'm doing it right now.
I want your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm stalling because I don't type as fast as everybody else. Chelsea Dagger by the Fratellis. Let's see here. Let's see what we got. Now, the problem is I don't think I can play it on the air because I don't have it plugged in. Oh, yeah, okay. You know, this would have a little walk-up feel to it, Beaver, no question about it. Oh, okay, I got it. That's a good one. Hey, Beav, a few years ago, we got to interview Brent Rooker when he was on his tear at Mississippi State and became the second and only Triple Crown winner to Rafael Palmeiro in a first-round draft pick and everything. And his walk-up song at State was Frank Sinatra. He had a Sinatra song. We said, okay, did you consider anything else other than Sinatra? And he said that he was within an inch of making his walk-up song Tom Sawyer by, who is it? Is it Rush?
Rush.
Yeah. And ever since then I thought, oh yeah, now that would be a great one. That would be a great one if you were trying to look for a throwback. Yeah. Everything, there's your list. If y'all want to go see what it is and who it is, if you're interested in that sort of thing, the whole list is at hailstate.com. Yeah. About the oldest throwback anything on here you can find from any of the State players is either Michael Jackson or AC/DC. I don't think... Yeah, that, and you've got one Guns N' Roses, and so that's about as far as it's going to go back. No, I take that back. Lowrider goes back further than that. That'd be the oldest one. Okay, well, anyway, there's your closing topic for today. Again, there's been some unplanned in this show, and it's just the way it is sometimes. Just the way it is sometimes. All I know is that at this time tomorrow, there will quite literally be people sitting in the outfield, smoke billowing from their grills while they stream this show, either on Facebook or YouTube or X or at thezone1059.com, one or the other. That literally will be happening this time tomorrow, and I can't wait. For everybody who tuned in and streamed and commented, thank y'all so much for all the texts and phone calls. I really do appreciate you being a part of the show. For Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. See you tomorrow. Same time, same place. See you then. See you.